Greetings, I am Tom Earl. Welcome to the celebration. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, it means the world to me. I hope you know that you are valued, you are appreciated, and you are loved just as you are. As you can see, I am not alone. I have an amazing guest. She goes by the name of Emmy Osborne. What's going on, Emmy?
Hey, Tom, that's a nice intro.
Thank you. Thank you. I built it slowly over time, added little bits and pieces, but I think I got it in a sweet spot. I actually remixed it today. Normally
No,
I say, I hope you know that in this moment you are valued, you are appreciated, and you are loved. And I was thinking, I hope you know that in every moment you are valued, appreciated, and loved. So I remixed it today. So I appreciate
nice.
giving the shout out.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my God, so nice.
Emmy, how would you describe yourselves? This is always the toughest question. We're going to start with the tough questions and it gets easier after here. How would you describe yourself? Tell us a little bit about who Emmy Osborne is.
I am a mom. I have a son. He is almost 3 years old and he's definitely wild. And I love dogs. I'm a dog mom too. I used to have three, but now only have one. RIP, Foamy and Butters. And I'm a tech and automation coach. I call myself a super nerd. I help moms start a digital entrepreneur journey with zero tech and design headache with clarity and ease.
All right. That is great. Jeez. Yeah, that was one of the best. It's like you got it in front of you.
That's what I do.
Did you say you do? Do you have it in front of you? Oh my gosh, that is so cool. That is really, really cool. So were you thinking like, perhaps Tom will ask me to introduce myself? I should have something?
Yeah, because it's like everybody asks, "Oh, what you do? What's your title? And what's your I help statement?" Even though I have one, and I always joke myself, me no English, so I just always have it out just in case somebody asks. And if my brain goes blank, and I know, oh yeah, there it is.
I have so much respect for that. That is so cool. Because usually it's really awkward. People are like, I don't know. And it's like our number one job as business owners is to talk about ourselves. So
Yeah.
that was really, I really, really respect that. That
Oh,
is awesome.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Props. I'm actually going to give that as advice to folks for future interviews. That was really cool. Great job. All right. We're starting this off on a good note here.
Awesome.
Okay. Here's one that we always ask folks too. And this is for you. I'm going to say an I statement, but it's for you. You're the I. Okay.
Okay.
It was like this. Okay. If you really knew me, you'd know that what? If you really knew me, you'd know what?
If I really know you, you.
You're the you. In this instance, you're the you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm the you. Oh,
Yeah. There it is. If you really knew me, you'd know.
hey, everybody. I am Emmy. If you know me, you know I'm a mom. I'm a crazy dog lover. And you will know I'm a tech nerd. I love touching all the different tech platforms. And you know I love to help moms to start a digital entrepreneur journey. I'm here with moms.
Okay, this was really good. And I'm gonna push this a little bit further.
Oh my-
Outside of the bio, you can't mention anything in your bio. If we were like best friends and we hung out all the time, what do you think that person would answer? Where it's like, if you really knew Emmy, what's something about her that we never find out from her bio? We want that. That's the kind of information we want.
Got it. People think I don't curse. Actually, I curse a lot. And people
Okay.
and people think Asian don't drink, but I drink a lot of whiskey.
What kind? What kind of whiskey?
Oh, any whiskey I love, but my favorite is the peanut butter whiskey.
Oh, wow. I have not heard of peanut butter whiskey.
That's why I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
That's true. I don't drink anymore, but when I did, my go-to was Old Thompson. Have you ever had Old Thompson?
Oh, Thompson, I don't think so. No.
It was like $6 for a liter.
Oh, damn.
I know. OT, so we'd get a $6 liter of OT and a 30 pack of Paps, and that would me and my roommate would just crush it.
Oh my God. I miss those days.
I know.
Oh, being a parent means no more hangover.
I know. You pay for it. You pay for it.
Yeah.
Are you a beer drinker too?
Yeah. But I still like a whiskey more than beer. Beer
All
gets me
right.
bloated. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is fun. This is a fun way to venture
Yeah.
in. Okay, well, this is a good time. Let's go camera off. We can go camera off for the rest of it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, I need to pause real quick. Hang on 1 second.
Okay. Yeah.
I paused the interview because as the door was leaving, the heat was on. I just felt it kick on. And I hate the heat on. I don't know about you, but what I like is I love it cold enough where I can wear a sweatshirt and sweatpants and socks. That's like my favorite house temperature.
Oh my God, that's so funny. It's like me and my husband is like a daily fighting over the thermometer. I was like, I need the heat on. He's like, what do you mean? It's hot in here. I was like, no, I am cold.
Where'd he grow up?
He was in Cincinnati, Chicago, and North Carolina. He was everywhere. And he was in Navy for a few years.
Okay, got you.
So
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if it's a geographic thing because I'm from Wisconsin and
no,
yeah.
I think it's a male and female thing. I think all females I know they're always cold,
Oh, that's
especially Asian.
interesting.
Especially Asian.
Well, we're gonna have to pick that thread. We're gonna have to continue to ask our friends, and what's that called? What's the different kinds of data? The data where it's just from hearing. Anecdotal, is that anecdotal data?
What? Tom, you know me know English.
It's the kind of data where it's just like, well, I talked to these people and this is what they say. So as opposed to like empirical, where I think it's like, we asked, 300,000 people this question. And well, anywho, where should we start? What's something that's on your mind? I've been asking a lot of questions. Are there any questions on your mind that you want to throw into the space?
Any questions? I don't think I have any specific questions, but I do want to celebrate because I just finally figured out how I can market my course is through Facebook groups. I love Facebook groups.
Okay, talk to me about this. What do you mean by Facebook groups?
So I started building my own Facebook group. So it's somewhere I start building a community for moms who wants to start their business. So it's a community for moms. And then I clear my calendar for all Mondays. Mondays for my community, I help them solve their tech problems. And I absolutely enjoyed it. And that's my way to build my own community without all the social media or writing email copies. That is like after a few years and after your training, I finally found my zone of genius, how to build my true audience.
Okay, that's awesome. So Facebook groups. And so it sounds like every Monday you basically say like, any questions you have, throw them in. We got you. Is that kind of how I'm hearing it?
Yep, exactly. So every Monday, I help everybody with their tech issues. And then Fridays, they can just promote their business in my groups and just totally for free. And then Sunday, I call it a mom venting Sunday because, for parents, we always need to vent because, sometimes kids drive our nuts. So for Sunday, I let my community just venting. I know I want to create a positive energy and positive group, but I know we sometimes just need to let it out to stay positive. So that's something I never did somebody did before. So I'm super creative and super proud of my creativity to do this.
No, that is super creative. Okay, so Monday, ask your tech questions. Friday, you can promote. Sunday, you can vent. That's kind of the structure of it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how are you getting folks into the group?
So for now, I'm just like, I just serving in other Facebook groups. I think I'm in maybe like 100 Facebook groups. So I always like, just like, oh, if somebody asking like a tech question, I just started helping them. And after I help them, I just say, hey, by the way, I have this group every Monday. I help you with all the tech issues. So that's how I'm drawing people to my Facebook group.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's so smart. Yeah. I mean, I think so. That's how I started my partnership with Jasmine Star. Was I joined that group in like early 2018.
Oh, wow.
And at the time I was a social media manager. That was more like social media advice person. I wasn't managing anybody's accounts at the time. I was more just like coaching, social media coach, I guess we could say.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, that was where it started. It was more like business. I had a program at the time called Inner Power Business Coaching. And it was like kind of the way you described my program now, where it's like holistic. Like I was able to give advice on like the entire business, but in terms of like how to get leads, it was post on social media. And then a couple things happened at the same time. One, I saw in her group when people would say, like, you could promote like, hey, I'm looking for someone to help me with my social media. I noticed that by the end of the day, maybe like 100 people would say I can help. I was like, well, damn, that's a pretty competitive niche. You know, like
100 people a day. Jeez.
You know, I don't know how I'm going to stand out in that. So that was kind of going on. And then I think right around 2018 is when people started to figure out, oh, there's something to social media. I feel like it was right around then. But like 2014 up until then, you know, it was kind of still just a little bit of a novelty. You know, people were using it, but I remember when I'd post stuff about my business or I'd put out videos, like, you know, I'd put out a video on Facebook and maybe 50 people would like it, you know, and it wasn't even that good. It was just like, wow, look at this. So I hear you kind of resonating with that? Did you kind of go ahead?
Definitely.
Do you want to speak to that?
Oh yeah, it just I have to say social media really not my game. I try social. I think I joined Jasmine's social curator maybe 2019 because back then feels like it was, like you said, it was novelty, but it was growing a lot. So that's where like everybody start talking about social media strategies, and that's how I jumped in with Jasmine's group. And then the more I tried so many times, and every time I can only stay on social media for like 2 weeks, and then I just feel like, oh, it's not for me.
Yeah,
I just don't like posting.
Yeah, and I guess for me, I don't like posting unless it's going to get reach, because it takes so much time to create creative.
Yeah. And then at the beginning, it was really fun because no matter what you post, like you said, you can get a lot of likes.
Exactly.
Now it's just like the more professional you're posting, and then the more you're posting, the less reach you get. I think I haven't posted on my Instagram for 11 months already.
It's interesting too. Like back then, what you could do is you could post, and if somebody liked your post on Instagram, you could DM them and they'd actually talk to you, and you could actually turn that into a sales conversation.
Yeah.
But now, like, we are DM'd by so many pitches that people just don't answer their DMs. Like that strategies, you have to have already built up some sort of relationship before you can move into a DM sale.
Yep. So, definitely agree. Yeah, absolutely.
So just to finish that story. So then I started to hear about ads from Amanda Bond, and she was the first one I learned about retargeting from. And I thought retargeting sounded really awesome because you could get someone to watch a video, and you could pay a couple pennies for them to watch the video, and then you could retarget people who watched like 50-60% of the video. And I was like, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So then I started answering any Facebook ads questions that people had in Jasmine's group. And I noticed I was like me and maybe one other person. So I was like, that's better. Awesome. Only one other person. That's my competitor.
Yeah.
So then I went all in on ads. So it's like I loved it, and I saw not a lot of people were teaching it, and I just answered every single question in her group that had anything to do with ads for like 3 years, and then her and I met for a podcast interview twice. And then I
Wow.
was like, after the second interview we did together, I was like, hey, do you want me to do a presentation in your group on ads? She's like, let me think on it. And then I just, for another year, I just answered every single question. And then a year later, I pitched her again. She's like, yes, I'm ready. So
Wow.
that's how it did. And that really, 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 really helped my business for sure. Big time.
Oh, actually, I think our beginning is kind of similar. I was just always in Facebook groups, and I was like to see what questions people are asking, and then what is I can really help. Like when I just starting out, and then I realized tech is really my joy, and not a lot of people doing it. And that's really similar how we both got started from Facebook group, just helping and serving, and to observe how many people are answering all the questions and stuff.
It's
That's so
interesting.
awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting because not a lot of people have the patience for the strategy that you're doing. Most people want like, I just want to get leads without having to do much work. How do I do that? Whereas like you're in 100 different groups answering questions, I'm assuming throughout most of the week. So where do you get like the patience and the long game vision to do that? Where do you think that comes from?
I I think it's really my true joy, and I really enjoy doing it. That's how I just keep going. And I clear my calendar every day. I have 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour at night, just TV couch time. And then I just browsing through the groups and then start just helping people.
Okay, that's fun. So you do it while you're watching TV?
Yeah, I do it when I'm watching TV at night.
That's great. And you're able to concentrate enough with,
Oh
with
yeah, yeah. Because TV for me, it's always like a background noise. I really don't pay too much attention to TVs nowadays.
I can never do TV's background. I've tried it a couple times and
Really?
I just get sucked into the stories. Like no matter what it is, I just like I can't multitask on if a story is going on. Even I've tried everything, documentaries, boring shows. I'm like, I just notice I get a headache. I can't do both.
But actually it makes sense because for me, in my mind, you're a copy genius. You love to listen to stories and you can create stories. So I think for me, totally makes sense. That's why you're all drawn into those stories. It totally makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. That is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
What do you think when you say good copy? How have you in your life been able to kind of like be self-aware of, oh, this is good copy? What's kind of been the evolution in your relationship with copy?
Oh, that's a good question. Mm,
And just before you answer, for the good folks out there, copy is the words that are said in any form of advertisement or storytelling that you're reading or listening to. So it's both like the words someone's saying in a video or in a podcast or in a billboard or in an email, anything like that. That's what we call copy. So it's short for copywriter. So they just call it a copy. So hopefully that also bought you some time, Emmy, if you to think on to ponder on your answer.
yeah. So for me, I started with always just like I'm terrified about any writings. I just feel I can't write. And then with your help, I started know I can start writing paragraphs. I love your homeworks, by the way. It really just helped me, really pushed me start writing. And then with your like copywriting feedbacks, and then I keep writing. I just replay our coaching sessions, and I just type in literally word by word what you said from our coaching meetings. And that's how I do it. And I just type them down, and then I just sit there and read to see if that really feels like my tone of voice. And then if I don't feel like somewhere I feel a little odd, I just throw some my own words to it to make it sound more like Emmy, not like Tom.
Mm.
Yeah. So I feel like before I met you, I hate writing, but now I can sit and start writing 2 paragraphs in a few minutes.
Do you think it's us introducing to you the concept of free writing? Do you think that helped?
Oh yes, that definitely helped too. That was a good training. She was doing timer countdown, and then you just sit there and write, and then you just share. And
Yeah.
yeah. And the first one was so terrifying. I just almost jumped out of the Zoom call. I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. But that's a really good exercise. I really recommend everybody does it.
Thank you. Appreciate
That
that.
helped me a lot. Yeah.
And shout out to Jamie Dawson. Jamie's definitely for sure 100% one of the best writers in the game. Jamie's awesome.
Yeah. Jamie, you're awesome.
Okay, so it almost sounds too a little bit like and I think this comes back to school. You know, like there's so much in school, there's really no focus on the process. It's all product. So it's like at school, they're not going to teach us to free write. They're going to teach us get it right on the first time right now, and I'm going to test you. You know what I mean?
Yep, definitely the grammars.
As a parent now, how have you been thinking about education?
Oh, that's a hard one, Tom. Oy. It's First of all, I feel like I'm still learning how to be a parent. I'm still learning how I can control my anger, not to yell at my son. And education is a long, patient game. Oh, it's just a hard one. It requires a lot of patience. And me and my husband, we're always talking like how we can do like how we can educate our son. So the thing is, for me, my husband, he's gonna teach our son English. That is for sure. And I'll teach my son Chinese. And we just like to see what we're good at, and then we're gonna teach our son. Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna force myself to teach my son perfect English. That's not gonna happen for me.
Brought up a lot of things. Do you mind diving into a little bit? I think that for maybe folks who don't have kids, this one was a surprise to me, and for my friends and for folks I know, that like you said, to not yell at your kids, like the anger you can feel for these people that you just love with all your being. You kind of mentioned that. Are you comfortable talking about that at all, or is that
yeah, I can totally talk about it. It just when you have a kid, it just requires so much patience. Before I having a kid, I was like, I'm the people has the most patience in the world. I always describe myself like that. I have so much patience. But when with my son, oh my God, I don't even know where all the anger is coming from. They have their own ways to do things. I think for parents, it's you have to learn how they think, and then you can teach them from their point of view. It's not like they're stubborn, but they're learning. They want to do it their own way. They don't understand the adult way to doing things yet. They're still trying out. So it's really that really frustrates me. It's like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. But sometimes it's like, why bother? Just let them try. If they get hurt, then just they will learn. Not like let them touching fire or hot water or anything, but just some little things. Just if they're gonna get hurt, then let them learn the lesson.
Yeah, this is deep. One of the things that two things I realized kind of in this department is one, sometimes my daughter helps me realize how like bad of a listener I am sometimes, because and I kind of like have been giving myself this like extra 30-second rule, you know, where it's like, okay, it's time to get in the car and go to school, and it's like she's fussing about something, and normally I'm like, nope, we're getting in the car, and now I've been like, okay, what is it? And then I noticed I have to just really, because I'm like I'm a task-oriented person, like we've eaten, so now we're gonna get dressed. Now that we're dressed, we're gonna put our shoes. Now we put our shoes, we're getting in the car. Like, do not mess up this plan.
Yeah.
And so then I just listen, and then it's like, oh, you just want different color socks. That's an easy fix. Here's the different colored socks. Boom, she's in the car. But for a while, like I didn't, and maybe it's because she couldn't communicate it, but like I wasn't giving that pause. And it happened one time we were transitioning from, like bath. Now she's dressed, and now we're gonna put her down into bed. And she saw something on the way to the bed that she just had to have. So I was like, oh my God. So normally I'd just be like, tough, look, like cry. It's all good. You're getting into bed. But I was like, okay, let me see if I can like pitch bedtime. So
nice.
like she was looking at this thing she wanted, and I was like, that thing's really cool, but you know what I can't wait to do? I can't wait to go into your room, because then I'm going to say hi to, and I named all her stuffed animals that are her favorite. And I'll be like, I'm going to say hi to Elmo, and then I'm going to say hi to Bunny, and then I'm going to say hi to Bear. And by the end, she's like, wait, hang on. What's about to happen? I'm like, and then she's like, okay, yeah, let's go do that. So it's like, I had to kind of like pitch it. And then when I pitched it, she was like but that was, once again, is that extra 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's a good one, Tom. Yeah. I used that trick before. It's like the longer you distract them, and then they will forget what they were looking for originally.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know if you've noticed this too, but it's really, because, as marketers and as folks in sales, especially the NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming folks, we always talk about how body language is like 90% of communication.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, there's like with my daughter now, maybe she speaks, she's getting there. She can maybe at like 40% English, 40% Igbo. But like when you combine those, at least for me, it's still not quite sentences. But I was telling my wife one time, I was like, oh, Jaima said this. And then I was realizing she doesn't actually say those words. It's just that I'm able to translate her body language. And it was like an aha for me. That was like, oh man, when you can't understand somebody's words, we can understand complete paragraphs from people's body language. Have you noticed that too?
That actually, my son, we had to give him a speech therapy because he just wouldn't talk. It was the longest time, for a whole year. He couldn't communicate with us. So he was always using his body language. What he wants, what's this, what's that. So that, I totally agree. I learned a lot from my son too, just body language.
So we're in the same boat you're in. My wife's teaching my daughter Igbo. I mean, Adora speaks better English than I do as well. So she's kind of teaching her both, and I'm teaching her, rural Wisconsin English. What were you saying?
That's so funny.
So what's been the journey like for you all, raising your child in a bilingual household?
Oh, at the beginning, we're just like, oh, Dada speaks English and then I speak Chinese, just two languages, just both input to our son just at the same time. And then he just not talking. And then we're like, oh, probably it's too much. So we're just focusing on English for a whole year, and plus his speech therapy. And now he started talking a lot more English. And I was like, okay, now it's a better time for me to introduce Chinese. So I started teaching him Chinese, like how to say milk in Chinese, how to say this in Chinese, and just start blending those Chinese words into like paragraphs. So he started to learn, oh, they are a little different. And then one time we were reading a Chinese book, and then all of a sudden he saw milk in Chinese, and he's like, oh, that's where that language is from. He had this aha moment I saw on his face. And that was like, oh, that was my joy of the day. That was so, oh, you totally understand those are two languages.
Oh, that isn't that so special when you can see
Yeah.
them just have an aha.
Yeah, he really had a I wish I'm on camera. He was so cute.
I can picture it. I can picture it.
Awesome.
Does he talk to your husband in Chinese at all, or Mandarin? Right? Is that the correct
Yeah,
language for?
Mandarin.
Yeah. Does he talk to your husband in Mandarin?
Uh, some certain words. Yeah, because let's say I think he only knows maybe 10 Chinese words for now. And then those 10 words Dada knows. So he knows if he asks Dada, let's say milk in Chinese, Dada understands. So we haven't even tried if there are certain words Dada doesn't know and he's trying to talk to Dada to it. Do you know? It's like, I feel like he's smart. He knows when he says Chinese to Dada, Dada understands.
Okay, got you. What?
Yeah.
So, like, what's milk in Mandarin?
牛奶.
Nunai.
Mm-hmm. 牛奶. Yep.
Okay, and so when your son says it, does he say it with the same, like the correct pronunciation that you're using?
Yeah, he does. But then he also makes in English sentence. He's like, I want 牛奶.
Okay, that's awesome.
That's really cute.
My daughter knows way more evil words than I do. Way more.
Nice.
So like the other night I was leaving her bedroom at night and she was like saying something to me and I was like, bye. And then my wife's like, that means cover me up. I'm like, oh. So I went back and was like, sorry, Daddy didn't know.
You were like, Oh, that's too funny.
One thing I try to do for folks out there, if you're in a relationship where your partner is teaching your child the language, I try to just always act like I don't know, so that, because what I don't want her to do is think she has to speak in English to be understood. So it's like, I don't get that. So usually I just repeat it back, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like I've been trying to be like conscious to not force her to. Does that make sense?
Yep, I'm totally with you. Yeah, and also that's a good way to help them to learn how to talk more. Yeah, that's what I learned from the speech therapy. I think back then when my son he didn't talk because he has all the body languages that I understand. So he's like, oh yeah, you understand me, so why bother talk? Yeah, and then I played the game dumb. I was like, what? And then I think he started to talk more and more.
See, that's kind of like, when we were talking about and for the good folks out there, we started this just like with Crystal. Emmy recorded a testimonial, which you'll hear at the end. One of the things you were saying is we were talking about learning how to ask good questions.
Ooh.
And so I think that's kind of like an aspect of what you're doing, instead of being like, here's the answer, like, keep going, keep wrestling with it, keep wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yep, definitely. Yep.
So I've heard you a couple times when we're talking today, talk a little bit about your relationship speaking English. Is it something that you're like self-conscious of, or am I misreading that? Because I feel like I've heard you say like 2 or 3 times something almost like putting down your English. Am I mishearing that?
Actually it's really funny because I grew up in China, and then back then in our school they teach you English, but it was a Chinese American accent, but it was British grammar. So my English was really just messed up from the beginning that I didn't even realize. And then I came to the US and I always have this conscious, I was like, oh, my English is not good. But on the same time, I can communicate with you totally fine. And my husband, he's white. He only speaks English. So, and then just started when I started the whole business, and everybody just started talking about, oh, copywriting is so important. Everybody, it's a skill. Everybody has to learn. And I was just, oh my God, writing is just so hard for me. And then every time when I start writing, I just got blocked by my own brain, just like I can't write. And then of course I just can't write because my own brain thinks I can't write. But now I feel like I got much better, and then I use this English as a joke now.
Yeah. If I can, and this is if you're like, or my listeners, everyone's like, shut up, Tom. I don't think you need to say it. I don't think you need to make that joke.
Oh, thank you.
I think your English is fantastic. It really is. Okay. I mean, like I said, I grew up in rural Wisconsin. So there are folks out there who do not speak even close to as good of English as you do. Okay.
That's so funny. Or Wisconsin English. Then I'm Osborne Chinglish.
Is that what it's called? Like Spanglish is called Chinglish? Is that how
Chinglish. Yeah. Oh, that's so fun.
But it's true. I'm imagining if I successfully learned a second language, like you've learned English, and then I tried to write copy in that language, that I'd want to write it in English. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried to write your copy in Chinese and then translate it?
Actually, no, because I think writing in Chinese and translate gonna be harder, because for all the past years, all the trainings I got are all in English. So there are certain words I don't even know how to say it properly in Chinese. That's gonna stuck me more. Like niche, I don't know how to say that in Chinese.
I guess.
There are so many things just because I learned it in the English language, and then I like how to build a organic marketing, like how to build a organic audience. Organic, this word, I just don't know how to say it in Chinese.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you journal?
I don't.
Because
it's something I want to do, but I don't.
Because a big part, we were talking about the skill of free writing. A big part of the skill of free writing is really, it's process, not product oriented. So it's all about learning how to get out of your own way and quiet down the analytical mind and just write.
Yeah.
So if I was you, I would consider just trying it free writing in Mandarin. Just try it. And don't worry about and when you're writing, don't think like, oh, this word isn't going to translate, because it's like, you can, like, when we wordsmith, that's like when you start drafting, but the free write is literally just getting your soul onto paper. And I would imagine that might be easier to do in your, like, the language you're the most comfortable in, so you don't have to be thinking at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I always want to do journaling, but I never know how. However, just free writing on Thursdays with Jamie, that really helped. Those questions really helped me start writing. I feel like if I know, like, if I can just write down some few questions and then start free writing, and I would totally gonna do it. But if there's no questions, and then just you want me to start from blank, just write whatever, I will just like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I feel the questions for free journaling, that really helped me back then.
Yes. So try doing that. Like, even take some of the old prompts.
Yeah.
Have them in Mandarin and then free write to them in Mandarin, and just see, you might find something where you're like, oh, and really sometimes we just free write for the process, but the product you get is sometimes it's just one sentence. It's like, oh my God, this one sentence is so perfect. Thank you. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Do you feel, because it's true in the coaching community, a lot of it's like image and presenting. do you feel self-conscious then putting out video content because like because of I always try to be mindful of using the word like accent because I also have an accent. You know what I mean? But it's like then I would say then like the majority of the mainstream Western coaching accent, if that makes sense.
Yep. I'm not afraid of like imaging like jumping on social media, but I do feel like I'm like our interview, I can totally do it like in video style and then just digest it into feel like a social media post. It's totally fine with me. And I'm not like worried about my accent is not perfect or this or that. I think it's just normally if I'm trying to create social media content, it just back to free writing. It feels like I don't have a question to answer. I don't know what to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Once I know what topic I can start talk about, I can be like just like nonstop talking about it.
That's yeah, that's deep. And you know it could be some kind of like cool content where if you had some copy you wrote in Mandarin and then you translate it to English, and then if you were to like, even if it's on a Google Doc, like screen record and be like, okay, this is how I originally wrote it. This is how I translate it. This is interesting. Like you said, what is the equivalent of organic marketing in Mandarin? And what's cool about that is you could start to pull in people who speak both Mandarin and English, and they might find that interesting, or just people who are just interested in language in general. So it might open you up to some fun conversations other than just tech to have as a gateway to you. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Because I was like, always feel like in my mind, I'm so tracked into this tech world. Beyond tech, I was like, I don't know what else I can talk about.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one right there. Just putting out for folks, what would be the equivalent if you speak Mandarin? What do you use when you talk about? Because I'm sure there's folks who like only speak Mandarin, maybe don't even speak very much English at all, that are trying to teach other folks how to win at social media. You know what I mean?
I see. Yeah.
There has to be someone
Yeah,
right now who only speaks Mandarin who wants to make a living giving Gary V advice.
yeah.
I mean, there has to be.
Yep. Or there are like probably people like on Instagram teaching other non-Chinese speakers, teaching them Chinese, and then there might be golden nuggets for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look at
Thank
this.
you, Tom. See, you are a person full of genius. That's what I called you.
Well, what's anything you want to throw into the space that you want us to chew on, or if you have a question for me or a question you want us to both answer or to speak on, what's something that's coming up for you?
I would say, what is your biggest lesson from your kid how to be a good parent? I feel like that's a big struggle for parents.
What is the biggest lesson I've learned from my kid on how to be a good parent?
Yeah.
Oof. I don't know if I have a biggest lesson.
Just anything.
Yeah, I think I can. One thing that I try to really do in just life is to be in the present moment. And the other day, so it's what we used to do with my daughters, go to playgrounds after school, but it's too dark now, so we're playing in the house. And one time last week, we have this big toy chest of hers, and so we opened it, and she wanted to take out everything in there, one thing at a time. So like a full box of crayons. Nope, we're not taking out the full box. We're taking out one crayon at a time. So maybe this took like an hour and 15 minutes to take every single thing out. And as we take it out, she wants me to give commentary on each thing. Like this And that took a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it was interesting because my wife afterwards was like, "Oh man, you look really drained." And I was like, "That's interesting. What about it was draining?" And then I was listening to Joe Dispenza talk about the tedium of bringing yourself back to the present moment, and how at first when you're learning how to do it, it takes a lot of energy. And so I was like, "Oh, that's why I was draining, not because she's boring, but because it really, if something's not stimulating, it takes a lot of energy to not be bored." You know
Wow,
what I mean?
that's a good one. That's a good one, Tom. I never thought about it that way. Yeah. If something happened to me like that, because I was holding my mouth laughing. I was like, that's exactly what happens here too in this household. And I just felt so drained every time. I never thought about that way. Yeah.
And I used to, like, because when she was younger, she used to like going up and down steps. So, like at this park we were at, she'd want to go up and down the steps for like 45 minutes. So just up the steps, down the steps, up the steps, down the steps, up the steps, down the steps for 45 minutes. So, but back then she couldn't really talk yet. So I would just listen to audiobooks while we were doing it. That was like how I entertained myself.
Hmm.
But now she's like wants constant commentary, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So I can't listen to audiobooks. So it's literally like no distractions. Just like,
Give your full self to your daughter. Yep.
yes. And it's just the most boring stuff. And so, when I used to facilitate stuff for middle school and high school students, and we had an ethos that was, if it's boring, you're boring. So I always try to like think that, like, if this is boring, you're boring, Tom. So this is not boring to her. Otherwise she would not be doing it. So like, yeah. So it's just that I think that's one of the things that takes a lot of mental training on how to just be there through, where it's not like TV's on and I'm working and I have a Spotify going and I'm eating and I'm walking around and like, it's like,
Yeah. Oh my God. That's a good one, Tom. Yeah.
what about you?
I I would say my son loves dada more than mommy.
Mm,
And he loves to bully mommy. And I always like, I love you. And he's like, no love you. And I was like, Jackson, can I get a hug? And he's like, no. And I just learned how to not take it personally. Because I know they're kids, they're learning how to push their boundaries. So they're just testing out like, oh, how mommy gonna react. So at the beginning, I got so angry and mad and sad at the same time. I was like, oh my God, my son doesn't love me. But then it's just like, it's a learning curve. They're learning everything. And also I think it's because they trust me. So they know they can do it to me. So I learned a big lesson how to take things personally. It's just learning experiences for them.
It's like, I feel like, because I used to say this about business, that like your business will test you spiritually and emotionally. Like if you're going to have a business, get a therapist.
Yeah.
100%. I talk to my therapist about my business all the time because I always feel like, for example, boundaries. Like if you're trying to have boundaries, what better place to test can you have boundaries than when thousands of dollars are on the line? Like this client's pushing my boundaries and they're paying me thousands of dollars a month to work with them. Do I tell them, like, do I stand up for myself and potentially lose that? Or do I keep getting railroaded and then like deal with the emotional baggage? So, but then I realized, well, it's the same thing about kids. And so that's my epiphany was, whatever you care about the most in your life is going to test you the most emotionally because you're the most emotionally invested in it. And so kids too, like I noticed that with Jaima too, is like, oh, you're just always looking for what's going to get the biggest reaction out of me. and you will always find something new.
Yeah, that's a good one. But absolutely true. Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
kids, they're still learning. They want to see different things.
I am a cuddler for sure. And so my wife puts up with it. And my daughter definitely doesn't anymore. Like yesterday morning, I was like, she's going to school. My wife was taking her to school. She's like, say bye to daddy. She's like, bye, daddy. I'm like, can I get a hug? She's like, no. And then she runs away.
Yep, the
So I'm
same.
with you, Abby.
The same. Oh my God, totally the same.
Oh,
I was like, and one time I was like, oh, Dexter, I love you. Can you say you love mommy? And then he's like, no. And then run to Dada. I love you, Dada. I was like, really? They are just full of joys. So funny.
well, one last thing for you, then I think we'll start to wrap it up. I have noticed in my life that most of the business advice that I have gotten has really been geared towards, like, it doesn't mesh with being an active member of your family. Have you found this to be true as well? Is this making sense?
No, I never heard of that before.
I just feel like most of the business strategies and funnel strategies and all those things are really geared towards, like, if you have 8 to 12 hours a day to put into your business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, but yeah, I heard that a lot. Yep, I take that back.
Even if it's not explicit, like when I'm like, oh, to do all of that, that is a lot of time.
Yeah.
And okay, or we can put it this way, like that it's geared towards people who want to make their business their number one priority in their life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I personally go against with that.
Go ahead,
It,
talk to me about that.
yeah, I mean, it's back to boundary. I set myself up. I only work certain hours a day, and then once I pick my son up, I'm fully with him. I don't think about my business. I don't check emails. I don't check anything.
Mm,
It just, I think everybody needs to find what works for you to find the balance between work and family. Especially if you are a parent, there's no way you can work 8 to 12 hours per day.
yeah.
What about your kids? What about your family? If you're single, then yeah, go ahead, go for it. I'm happy for you. That's woohoo. I wish I'm still single. I can do that. But now everybody is different. Everybody's situation is different. And everybody's families, everything is so different. So I really feel we need to find our own thing that works for ourselves.
Yeah, that then maybe this is just a me thing. I've really realized that, like, my business can't have as much of my life and priority if I want to, like, be the family member that I want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's been, let's transition it into this kind of a question. I would say that's been one of my biggest 2022 lessons learned is that I was kind of like, my business was getting the best, and myself included, and then my daughter and wife were getting the rest, and I I kind of shut down like 90% of my business to remedy that. That's kind of been one of my biggest ahas, lessons learned in 2022. What's been one of yours?
For 2022 aha moment. For me, it's for the past few years, like always trying to start my own business. My 2022 aha moment is definitely I found my niche, my specialty, and I can finally see myself being a true tech nerd without testing something else anymore. I really found my true path, I would say. That's my aha moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And thank you so much for your help, Tom. You helped a lot.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, anything else, my friend?
No, I think that's it. This is so awesome, Tom.
This is the our ritual. This is how we end. So it's first of all, where can the good folks out there catch you? Where should they find you if they want to work with you and all that good stuff?
If you guys want to check me out, you can go to my Facebook group. My Facebook is called Funnel Tech and Automation Remedy.
And you got a website?
Oh, website, yes. My website is lepetiteremedy.com.
Okay, Le Petite, like the French word, right?
Yes, I know. I'm still struggling about the name.
It's all good. Okay, cool. Here's our closing ritual. And this is a non-promo one. So this is we've done the promo. So now this is outside of promo.
Mm-hmm.
What's your invitation to the folks out there listening? What would you like to invite them to do, to be, to consider, to think about, to evolve into? What's your invitation?
I would say never never fear to be a failure. You just keep going and trying and never give up. Yeah.
I like that. All right, Emmy. I think we might have that be the name of this episode. Never fear failure.
Awesome. I like that because that's my true story.
It sounds cool too. Never fear failure. A lot of similar sounding letters.
Yeah, so rhyme.
Well, folks, we're about to say goodbye. If you stick around after we say goodbye, then you can hear a little bonus interview of Emmy and I before we started this. Recorded a testimonial with Emmy, her sharing what it was like working with me for the past 10 months. And that was nice. There's some nice nuggets in there too that we talked about. So you'll get to hear that in a sec. Otherwise, Emmy, appreciate you. Looking forward to having you back on the show again in the future. That'd be awesome.
Thank you so much, Tom. This is awesome. I love this episode.
Thank you. And to all the good folks out there, as always, we're wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you. And as promised, without further ado, here is Emmy's testimonial. All right. Well, Emmy, thanks so much for agreeing to meet and to speak about your experience working together. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, of course, Tom. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Why don't you start? Tell us your name, a little bit about what you do, that kind of good stuff.
So I'm Emmy. I am a tech and automation coach. Thank you, Tom, for helping me find my title for the longest time. So I help moms start a digital entrepreneur journey with zero tech and design headache with clarity and ease.
That's wonderful. I helped you with that. I helped you come up with the title.
Yes. I struggle for oh my God, I don't even know how long I've been struggling with my name. I just not happy with the name Tech VA. And I was like, oh, I'm a tech monster. But then I was like, yeah, that's not really. Yeah. And one day you were like, after probably 8 months working together, and you were like, oh, maybe you should think about the title automation coach. And that's where it clicked. It was like, oh, automation coach, that sounds nice. And then I just add my tech part to it. And then I sit with it for 2 months. And then it was like, yep, that's my title. So thank you so much, Tom.
You're welcome. Good job in the past, Tom.
Yeah.
What brought us together? Why did you want to work with me?
First, I started working with you, basically working on ads, because I'm the type of person, I don't like to post on social media. I don't do silly dances. And I just don't have the time or energy or the brain for social media. So I saw you were talking about, how I can help you to run ads and find your audience. I was like, okay, yeah, that's it. I'm in, because I'm not doing social media. That's how I started working with you.
And what's it been like working together?
Oh, it's It's way more than ads. By the end, it turned out like nothing to do with ads anymore. And I just like working with you weekly, just like a one-on-one, just a coaching sessions, just weekly, even 15 minutes working with you together can give me like, you know how to ask powerful questions to let me think, just like your question like a homework to me. So give me think like I can just sit there for a whole weekend. Then, oh yeah, Tom really mentioned that. Okay, that's really something I should do. And sometimes I'm always like all over the place. And you know how to ask one question and pulls me back. And you are like a genius that way. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And now I don't work with you every week anymore. So I always ask myself what Tom would ask.
That was gonna be my next question. How do you feel we were able to cultivate your ability to ask questions? How did we do in that area?
Because when I'm like just like all over the place, I was like, oh, Tom gonna ask me this question. It just like so working with you like a 10 months together, it just comes like a natural ability for me. It's like, oh, Tom gonna ask me this way, or he's gonna pull me back and doing this and this and not jumping all over the place. I just like my brain is like trained by you. I swear it's like trained by you. I know what Tom gonna ask.
I love that because that's really our big goal is to especially with our new program is to get people to be able to ask themselves those questions. So I'm happy to hear that it worked.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And also I want to say you are a copy genius. At the end, I was like, I don't need Tom's help for ad anymore. Ad is so easy. Just once you set it up and then you just number game and you just crunch up those number and tag thing I know how to do. But I was like, copy is something I always want to work with. You are just like, I can't explain it. You are so good at copy. I'm always joking, me no English, and I need Tom's help for copy. And I just like, I can't write. And for you, just so natural. We sit there 15 minutes together and you can help me create a sales page. And I just rewatch the video and I just type and I just like polish a little bit. And I was like, I'm good. Yeah, that's really gold for me.
I appreciate that. That's a great affirmation. Well, just want to add in there now. I'd say, you know how you say like, what would Tom ask? And you hear my voice in your head. That you got to start giving yourself credit now. That's your voice. You're asking yourself that question, even though you're thinking, what would Tom ask? That's you. You're doing it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sometimes when I'm writing copy, I was like, what would Tom say? What would Tom write? Seriously, this 10 months really changed a lot of things in my head. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Was there anything about it that was surprising to you?
That was surprising. Surprising is when I went in with you, I was only thinking about ads. And then I was at the beginning, I only considering you as a ad strategist, and you only know ads funnels and you only know certain things. But then the longer we work together, it's surprisingly, it's not surprisingly, it's you really know a lot of things. It's like I ask a question and you really have an answer for me. And I just feel like you're like a Bible. I can really go to you. I always can go to you, and then you always have an answer for me.
So would you say like you're surprised it is a little more holistic than just ads?
Yes, absolutely.
And do you find yourself approaching your funnels now from like a more holistic perspective?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm thinking what Tom's way thinking, and also it's more like what a true marketer thinking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how I think about you, a true marketer. Whatever I ask, you have a question, you have an answer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is very helpful feedback. I mean, appreciate it's all positive. Okay, what are some things maybe that maybe I don't know, this is very glowing. Is there any like, hey, you should be aware of this. If you're looking for this, you're not going to get that from Tom. Is there any anything like that you want to share?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Because at the end, I was like, oh, I'm gonna pause on ads for a little bit. And then you were fully supporting. You were not like in the mindset, oh, she hired me for ads, and then we have to push the ads for her. And you were like really helping me from my point of view, what is good for me, what are my next steps are. And you really respect my decision not running ads anymore for that certain thing. And that I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice affirmation. That's surprising. So because other people might be like biased and be like, no, keep going, keep paying me to run.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
That's why I feel like there was 1 week, I swear I skipped the week, because I think that's in my head what is a normal people would do. You have to just keep pushing, running ads and just to see results and blah, blah, blah. I was like, how can I bring it out to Tom? So I remember there was 1 week I wasn't joining your coaching call, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to talk to you. And then when I was ready to talk to you, it was just so surprising. You were so supportive. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. That's nice. Well, I tried to fish for something that you could share with. Well, this is all nice. Tom must be paying you on the side to give all positive affirmations. So
you trained me good, Tom.
Okay, cool. What would you share with somebody that maybe is like on the fence? They're like, Tom seems dope, but I don't really know him that well. I'm not sure. I've been burned in the past. Is there any thoughts you'd share with them?
I think from all the years, what I learned is I always let's say I'm on the fence. I just following you for like a long time, just to see what you're bringing out. And then if we're really on the same side, not same side, it's just I really like you from a person and a coach. And then I will jump into you. Because I've been watching you for maybe a few months before I signed with you. So that's something I truly learned from my previous experiences. I always watch and learn to see if I really like this person, and then I jump into your program or your coaching or anything.
So if folks aren't sure, then they should just keep watching my content and that'll reassure them.
Yeah. Tom is a genius, but you shouldn't be on the fence. But if you are on the fence, that's the only suggestion I have.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's fair. That's fair for sure. I mean, obviously I'm like, just come in, just come join us. You'll dig it. But I think that's good advice. If you're on the fence, then just listen to some more of our podcasts, show up to some of our trainings, and hopefully you'll see we're for you. Or if we're not, then all good.
And also it's because of my personality, I don't jump in anything really quick. I have to watch them for a not a long time. I have to watch them for a few months before I jump in the programs and anything. That's just my personal style.
I dig that. I always have to run everything by my wife anytime I want to sign up for a coaching program. And I have to have like a PowerPoint presentation, like, here's why I think I should do this.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Oh, I love your wife. She's awesome.
Agreed. Oh, there she goes. She's going to work. I can see her on my window. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is, a lot of testimonials are like people only interview people who, and we have a lot of those, but it's like, I made millions of dollars working with Tom. And I just think that's not realistic for all programs. Some folks, like the transformation is getting it to that next stage where you're setting yourself up to make all that money. So do you want to maybe talk a little bit about your experience working with us, how maybe it was different in terms of like quote unquote results than maybe your typical person you'd select for a testimonial, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So I think it goes back to like how I select people. I'm watching them, and I'm that type of person. I'm kind of slow. So for me, working with you for 10 months, it really just, I can't say I make so much money and blah, blah, blah. For me, what I gained from you for the 10 months was I really started thinking like a true marketer, and I know what my next steps are. And then I started creating my courses. I know when I'm finish my courses, I know how I can launch them. So from the experience is not the money, it's the knowledge gold. It's I I really can think like a true marketer, I have to say. Before working with you, I was like, I really thought ad was my only solution. But now I have so many ideas. I really know how to market a lot of things besides social media. I still suck at that. But at least now my course is almost done, and then I know how to market it now. Yeah, that's a true goal from you, Tom. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think a lot of people come to us and they want us to help them scale. And then when they start trying to scale, they realize, I actually want to do something different, or this isn't quite it. And I think that is huge. That is a victory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what happened to me. And I just like had this point, I was like, I don't think this is what I need. And then I asked you for like a different direction. And then you really, truly just helped me through that direction. It's not ads anymore. Yeah. So
That's
thank
awesome.
you.
My pleasure. Anything else?
Anything else? I think that's it.
Perfect.
It's just working with you is so awesome.
Takeaway message. That's awesome. My whole goal is to get people to learn how to think like a marketer. And I didn't even prompt you with that. And it makes me so happy to hear that we were able to do that together. So I appreciate you, Emmy. Thank you.
Absolutely. That is, I joined so many different courses before, and I had a one-on-one coaching program before. Nothing like yours. It just you really trained my brain to think like a true marketer. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just really something I really learned a lot from you.
Thank you, Emmy. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Well, folks, thanks for listening to Emmy's testimonial, and I hope we get a chance to work with you too. Yeah, wishing y'all peace and blessings. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.